I died a few years ago, and my body was taken to the mortuary. Miraculously, I awoke to life, but guess what horrible thing they did to me? In 2006, I embarked on a solo journey into the dense forest of Okigwe, Imo State. Unfortunately, my phone lost signal, leaving my family and friends in anguish, believing I was dead. Despite extensive search efforts by the community, I remained unfound. Days passed, and one rainy night, a group of local farmers stumbled upon my unconscious body. Assuming I had passed on, they solemnly carried me to the nearest town, where the mortuary awaited my arrival. The mortician, used to handling the deceased, began preparations to embalm my body the next day. As night fell and the mortuary grew silent, something mysterious happened. Unbeknownst to everyone, my body clung to a sliver of life. I regained consciousness, disoriented and weak. I felt a heavy cloth wrapped around me. It was the most terrifying moment of my life. As I struggled and removed the cloth from atop me, I sat up but was engulfed in total darkness, perhaps because my eyes had been closed for days. Unable to comprehend what was happening or where I was, I sat with my head bowed. After a moment, I slowly regained my sight. As my eyes cleared, though the bulb in the room was dim, fear surged through me as I realized my surroundings, the cold, sterile mortuary, filled with the stench of chemicals and bodies. Driven by instinct to find sustenance, I trembled as I noticed I was in the storage area where bodies awaited transfer to the embalming room. Horror washed over me as I grasped the truth of my predicament. I was among the dead, condemned to join them. I was hungry, horrified, tired, and helpless. Soon, I heard footsteps approaching from outside, leading into the room where the bodies were stored, awaiting final removal to the mortician's room for embalming. With fear and confusion, I swiftly moved to the far corner of the room and lay between two bodies. I nearly shouted for help, but then I remembered the mortuary's secret. Nobody brought here leaves without being embalmed, even if the person wakes from a coma and is mistaken for dead. The morticians ensure the public never learns what happens within these walls. As I lay there, nearly suffocated by the smell of chemicals and decay, my heart pounded as two men entered, wearing aprons and masks, talking to each other. They had come to retrieve a body for embalming. As they approached the spot where my body had been, they paused, staring at the empty space. What happened here? Wasn't there a body right here? One asked, concerned. I don't know. Maybe they moved it to another room, like room 2 or 3, for embalming, the other replied, sounding uncertain. I realized then that the mortuary had multiple rooms for embalming. Let's take the body next to that empty space. We'll figure out where the other went later, the first mortician said. As they grabbed the body beside my former spot and carried it to the next room, separated only by a wall, I slowly stood, trembling with anxiety. I crept to the door and tried opening it, but it was tightly locked. I moved closer to the wall dividing the rooms, pressed my ear against it, and heard nearly everything they said. Then I overheard something that shattered my hope of ever escaping. Someone was screaming, pleading to be spared, accompanied by sounds of a struggle. Please. I beg you. I'm not dead. Please don't kill me, the voice cried. The struggle continued briefly until the pleading voice faded, and silence fell. With trembling limbs and wide eyes, I listened closely. After a pause, one of the morticians spoke. I've warned you several times, inject everybody with formaldehyde as soon as it arrives to avoid trouble like this. Take it seriously. You saw what just happened. Sorry, sir, the other replied. My spirit felt as though it had left my body. I realized the pleading came from the person they had just taken, who must have awoken as they prepared to embalm him. Despair overwhelmed me, and I wept silently. Then I heard them chanting, like a ritual performed by a secret society to invoke spirits or wield dark powers. This went on for nearly 30 minutes. With my heart racing, I moved back and lay among the bodies to avoid detection as the morticians kept coming for more bodies, one after another, to embalm. Fear consumed me like never before, yet I grew numb to it. Imagine lying in a room with rotting bodies and the sharp smell of chemicals. By then, I sensed it was midnight. As I lay silently among the bodies, dizziness, hunger, and exhaustion overwhelmed me. Suddenly, a terrifying commotion began. The room filled with noises, like flapping wings of creatures flying everywhere. From where I lay, I turned my head to see the room. About 20 or more bats, larger than any I'd ever seen, flew around, some hanging from the ceiling. Then, one bat swooped to the ground and transformed into a woman in a long black wrapper, holding a staff in her right hand. She moved around, touching each body with her left hand, muttering inaudible words. The dim light made it hard to see her face. Terror gripped me, emptying my soul. I prayed silently, vowing to serve God if He saved me. As I prayed, the woman approached. She touched each body and finally stood over me. As she bent to touch me, I saw her face, a horrifying witch. I don't know how, but I shouted, "Jesus." She let out a blood-curdling scream, and all the creatures, including her, vanished. I jolted awake, realizing I was still in the mortuary. It had been a dream, perhaps a revelation. I continued praying fervently. A voice within me said, "Chika, my son, this is the test I brought you back to face. It will determine if you return, repent, and share my word with the world about my power. I'll be with you until the end, if you believe." Despite everything, I resolved to survive. Scavenging for anything edible, I fought against the odds. Every second was a battle against despair, with slim chances of survival. As dawn neared, my strength faded, but my will burned bright. Just as I feared succumbing again, a faint hope appeared, a ray of sunlight piercing through a crack in the mortuary door. With every ounce of strength, I crawled toward the light, clawing my way to freedom. I found a pin on the ground by the light's guidance. I grabbed it, inserted it into the keyhole, and turned it repeatedly, trying to unlock the door. After 30 minutes of failure, I was about to give up when the lock sprang open. As I pushed the door, a mortuary worker lunged at me with a machete. Their rule was clear: nobody pronounced dead leaves alive, to protect their secrets. Weak and hopeless, I longed to say goodbye to my wife, children, and friends. I was losing the fight, my hand bleeding from grabbing the blade, which he wrested back. Then, a surge of strength flooded me. I overpowered him, turned the machete on him, and he fell, bleeding. With a final burst, I pushed through the last door and collapsed outside, the morning air reviving me. But I was still within the mortuary's compound. As I lay helplessly, I heard men approaching, talking. "He might have gone that way. 2 of you go there, while me and Yuzo search here," a voice said. Suddenly, a hand yanked me up, dragged me into a space, and locked me in. I kept my eyes closed but felt everything. I trembled as someone tried to open the container I was in. A short, dark-skinned man opened it, shining his phone's light. It was nighttime. I'd spent another day trapped. Dizzy and afraid, I saw he held bread and a bottle of water. He was a security guard. "Who are you?" I asked, trembling. "Shoo, calm down. I'm not one of them. I'm Ikena, a security guard here. I saw you staggering outside and knew you were one of the innocent people these morticians kill when they wake up. I've seen them murder many who revive here. I'm risking my life to save you. They won't stop hunting you. Eat this to regain strength. There's no time." I snatched the bread and devoured it, sensing pity in his eyes. He said he'd return to his post to avoid suspicion, then come back to help me escape. He locked me back in the container. I thought of my family, wondering how they'd react to my return, whether they'd think I was a ghost, and how I'd explain this. As I nearly dozed off, the container opened again. It was Ikena, holding a black bag. He pulled out a mortuary uniform. "The time has come. Wear this uniform and walk straight out, acting like one of us. Don't look left, right, or back. Ignore anyone who greets you. Just walk to the gate." I left it unlocked. "Thank you so much. May God bless you," I began, kneeling. "Go now." "No time," he interrupted. With my heart pounding, I walked toward the gate. 2 guards passed, talking. "No matter how long, we'll find him and end him. His family lives in a compound on Umuahia Road." I opened the gate, stepped into the darkness, and vanished, leaving behind what I'd call the world of the dead.